What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Huddle, your weekly playbook helping you gain forward progress in your career. Simply put, we're here to help you win. Big thank you to Shag Tools for sponsoring this episode. Please remember the promo code Huddle10 to get your 10% off. Go see them at shagtools.com. Check them out, guys. We appreciate the support, and best way you can support us is like, subscribe our stuff, and go support our sponsors. So go check out Shag Tools. What's up, guys?
What's up, brother?
Not much, Paul. How you doing?
Doing good. Today's episode is adopting new installation tools, techniques. A new one just added, terminology, and I'd even add technology. So we got Robert Varden with us today, and Jorge is joining us as well. I will be here for a short time, but with me, as always, Mr. Daniel and Jose Gonzalez from Preferred Floors up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I guess it's Preferred Flooring. Let me get that right. Let me get my boys right. So, today we're going to be talking about like all the different techniques. There's not just like the old tried and true stuff, but we're going to be going into some of the, I should say, the boys and everybody's going to go through new stuff that comes out, where to find and stay up to date with the new stuff. Because, if you've been in flooring for more than 10 years, you've seen things come and go, and a little bit longer, you've probably seen adhesives come and go and fail and big problems. And so there's, joining this podcast, keeping up to date, as well as some of the information that the guys are going to give you will help you be more successful in your installation. So, Robert, welcome to the Huddle again, sir. Glad to have you on.
Thank you, Paul. Actually honored to be here, buddy.
And for everybody, Robert may not want me to tell you this, but he just had a knee replacement. So if he starts gigging out on us,
He's all
why.
medicated up.
Go ahead, let it out, brother.
No, I think he skipped the medication for our podcast. So that shows you how special we are.
Dealing with the pain instead.
All right. Well, guys, I'm going to let you guys continue the conversation. Again, to our audience, go check out Shag Tools. And I'm going to let Daniel and Jose and Jorge and Robert have a great conversation about the industry and keeping it up to date with the new installation tools and techniques and terminology Robert added.
Yeah,
So
I think
sorry I had to leave early, guys, but I appreciate everybody.
We'll do,
And I'll
Paul.
catch you guys next week.
Sounds good. Have a good one,
brother.
All right. See you guys. Good
Have a
seeing
good
you,
one, Paul.
Robert. Seeing you, Jorge.
You too, Paul.
Hey, Robert, why don't we just start off with another brief history of who you are and how you got to where you're at?
Sure, Daniel. I'll try to make it short. After 40-something years, it could.
I was going to say, after 100 years in the trade.
Again, older brother, 14 years old. Summers, mom would ship me off to him, and I'd lay floors. So, did that through high school, out of high school, quick and easy gig. I've had a very, very blessed career. He did a lot of high-end commercial stuff, so we ended up on huge projects all over the country. Then when I went into it on my own at 21, same thing. Seems like the retailers and the dealers that I did most of the work for, large commercial projects around the country. Most of them in Texas at that point, when the oil crunch hit us here in the 80s. The MSA Industries, I don't know if some of you will remember those folks, but they were the largest flooring contractor at one time. They had a base out of South San Francisco. So I went out there because things slowed up in Texas due to the oil crunch and kind of started up again out there. But, when I say blessed career, I started troubleshooting for manufacturers, traveling around the country. Next thing I know, I'm getting flown around the world to work with guys on different problems that they're having, different techniques that, again, things that we just picked up on the job. One of the things that I think I was sought after for the most was patterned carpets. And we had in the field developed a lot of different techniques to correct those patterned carpets. Did some video for Dow Chemical, did a bunch of work for different manufacturers. And so, it was pretty cool to, be flown around the world and open up schools in different places and train people all over the world. Very unique. So I feel very blessed. So my company AFT was founded in '88 when I first went to California. We always based it on 4 pillars, which was installation, education, training, and research. Of course, in the beginning, it was 99% installation. Now, as time has transitioned, now it's 99% that other pillar, which is training and education. So we do training, again, all over the country. We do have some trainings set up toward beginning of next year in a few other countries. And we've been very blessed with the success we've had since I kind of moved off and took off onto this branch once again where I was. So it's, again, I feel very blessed.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I see your posts all the time. You guys do a pretty good job of like, showing kind of what you're doing in the classes and stuff like that. So, we definitely appreciate that. That way people can kind of get a glimpse of what they'd be getting into if they went to something like that. And it's just, what do you see like lately as far as like we're talking about adapting, right? Because you always have to adapt to the new technologies that are coming out. What do you see that's new right now that maybe wasn't here, 10 years ago? I mean, 10 years is a long time, especially in flooring terms with the technologies.
Well, I can take you back 40. Again, I know all you young kids on here, but Daniel, I think, and again, when Paula just said, in my opinion, it's tools. The other T that he didn't miss, he kind of touched on, is technology. And there's tools, there's techniques, there's technologies, and even terminology. I think we were briefly talking earlier, where a term that I've really never liked to begin with was, self-leveling underlayments, because it suddenly gives you the sense that you could just mix it, pour it out, and it's going to just level itself. And it doesn't. So, thank goodness. I know Scott, the ANSI group, they got with ANSI, they put a group together, formed the body. And actually in January 24 was when it was first released, but it really hadn't gotten to the industry yet. But they're getting away from that term of self-leveling underlayments because they're now referring to them. I know all the acronyms in our industries, instead of a, SLU now, self-leveling underlayment, it's going to be a FHCU, which is and it took me a while to remember this one. I had to keep looking at it. Was flowable hydraulic cement underlayments. Just getting away from that term as, guys, they don't level themselves. As far as, if I looked at a product category, and this is, when we talked about this call, that I have probably seen the most advancement in my opinion. I mean, there's been some phenomenal tools, that have come out over the years to not only sometimes help us do a better job, because sometimes it's not maybe doing a better job, but being a little more efficient at doing that job, because time is money. But when I look across at everything, and something that, Paul had mentioned, how do you get the word to these guys? I don't know how you get the word to these guys. I really don't. But in my opinion, probably the most advancement I've seen is in the chemical category, the adhesives, as far as all the chemical, there's still guys out there now that are installing LVP with an adhesive, and it fails because they were pushing, 75% RA. They don't realize that products that several manufacturers have out are good up to 99% are. There's just products that have been developed over the years that do things that, believe me, I didn't have 15, 20 years ago. When I look at the category, I think that's probably made the most advancement in the last 20, 30 years. It's probably been on the chemical side, in my opinion.
No, I agree. We were just talking about this the other day too, when adhesives all switched out and, they took out all those chemicals. They had to kind of rush, and then that's when people were like, glue sucks now, and they've been in that same mindset, even though the technology has come so far since, in the, what was it, 25 years.
Yeah.
Well, it's all specific now too, right? Like you have manufacturers that have proprietary, let's just say their backing is proprietary, right? They have specific backing, recycled materials, and everything's trying to get put back in. So the chemical compound of everything having to work together is, hold on one second. Everything having to work together is a lot more crucial now.
Yeah.
It's just, you have to, so technology and science has to evolve with the product, so that way it doesn't fail.
Right. See, and the sad thing is, guys, is none of that information ever gets to the actual installer. I mean, and again, we would go on for hours if I just sat here and told story after story after story, because I've been doing this a long time. But I was working with Seamaster Industries when all of first it was a urethane laminate, secondary, which was an action back that instead of laminating it on with an SBR latex, they laminated it on with a urethane. Well, a standard thermoplastic, meaning on your seam intake, don't like urethanes, but you don't know it up front, because what happens is when you first seam it up, you pull on it, it's stuck. But you go pull on it a month later, it'll peel off like a banana peel. And then Mohawk released a product called UPS, Ultra Performance System. They stopped making it now. But what they did is if you looked at it, it looked like a unitary. But what they did is they took a secondary and a primary, and they tufted the yarn through both of them and then did a coating process. Well, that coating process had urethane in it. We know that because our seam tapes wouldn't stay stuck to it. Of course, a unitary is strictly glue direct product, but because this had both layers, Mohawk said it too could be stretched in over a cushion. And so what would happen was, I used to make samples before I'd go to a show, and I would seam these pieces up like a month before the show. And again, I'd go to pull them, I'd be pulling the yarn through the backing. But by the time I got to the show, peel it off like a banana peel.
And is that something that they had in their literature as far as don't use this seaming tape? You have to use a specialized seaming tape. They just didn't say anything about it. If
you called them about what tapes, they would tell you which ones to use. That's back when Orcon was doing the Euro 10. AAT did the same, because it was a urethane-based formulation. Seamaster, that's when they did the Signature series, because all of those they called them universal adhesive formulations. So, back then when they were still doing PS, when I was doing training classes, if guys would, ask me, well, what tape should I use? You know what? Find you a good universal tape that's got a nice melt point to it. Use it, because it's good for everything. I mean, you don't have to worry about what they're throwing at you. But, again, that's what, when I look at, as far as the industry as a whole, we've and believe me, I love the manufacturers, all of them, and what they do for training and education. But for so long, it's been, we've all tried to get, the big guys to really jump in and really support training and education. And they've done it to a point, but nothing like I'd love to see. And because, the bottom line is we're just out there trying to educate them on their products and how to install them correctly. But that information, unless you really would have called the tech person, there was nothing in the installation instructions that would say, and who reads the installation instructions anyway? About using a, I know, well, come on, I'm preaching to the choir here, and probably most of your listeners too, but let's face it, 90% of us, from an installer group, they don't. Perfect example is that LVP class I was telling you earlier.
Yeah, we're on a project right now too, where there's, a handful of different installers, right? And they called us in to come and help, and they have us kind of being like a consultant on there. What's this look like to you? How's it supposed to look? And then I got a hold of the manufacturer, because that's who I go to get questions answered, right?
Right.
So we got a hold of them, and the guy's like, yeah, we're talking the different technologies and adapting, right? And now they have non-PVC sheet vinyl coming out, and it's like it installs not like a sheet vinyl. You have to treat it like a rubber or linoleum. And then, these guys are having issues. It's ripping on me. It's doing this, it's doing that. And it's like, well, first of all, like, you should have contacted the manufacturers to begin with to start asking them questions, but that's besides the point. It's, let's figure this out and keep on moving. And that's what you have to do. You have to start adapting. And now over here on this job site, they're wanting them to go through and picture frame the entire room so that way everything looks uniform, which there's nothing in the installation instructions about this. There's nothing in the installation instructions about how hard it is to work with or what you should be treating it like.
Yeah. And that's the no notification, like you said a few moments ago, Roberto, about the we don't know because they don't
Right.
tell us. We have to find out. And Paul's not here right now, but he has a story that goes along those same lines. And it's just a matter of, I do read the installation instructions all the time, right? Like out of habit, you pick it up and you're like, oh, this looks different.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as they change a color on it, as soon as they change a label and like something stands out or the format's different, like you'll know if you read them all the time, you'll know the difference. And the way that things are going on that Project Daniel's talking about, it's just everybody has to take a few moments, slow down for a second. Let's absorb what's going on, what's going wrong, and sit back. Like,
yeah. And I agree. And you know, and that's where, you know, with the manufacturers, they will spend millions of dollars on you know, technology, trying to create a new product, whether it be something that's more recycled content, whatever. But they spend so much money in research and development. When if they would just spend a fraction of that to help educate the installation community, and there's great sources, you know, like when Paul asked the question, you know, so where do we go to get this information? I mean, not that I'm going to sit here and try to promote you to go to training, but really, even the training entities and the trainers, as good as we all are, it's even hard for us to keep up with it all. But
Right,
that's the best recommendation I can make is to any of your listeners or anybody that's, you know, trying to keep up and, you know, try to not run into that issue and that failure, is seek training and education. I don't care how good you are. I mean, between AFT, CFI, NAFCT, I mean, there's so many phenomenal training organizations out there. It's pretty darn easy to, you know, take a class once in a while, because that's how you stay on top. That's just that's
like
just simple
Scott
fact.
says here, you know, no one ever wants to slow down, and that's what you have to do when you're looking at these trainings, right? It's slowing down from your role right now and then going in and actually getting the training on some stuff.
Yeah.
so
And
I'm
taking
gonna,
taking them at a young age too, because the more you can learn at a younger age, the better. Because you know, some of us are doing it when we're getting a little bit older, and we're having to catch up.
well, the young age thing too is there's also there is a history of bad habits that become the normal. There's that. I just had a conversation with one of our guys the other day about the difference between speed and efficiency. I said, yeah, you could be fast. I said, but if we're doing apples to apples and we do a project and you do it in 2 days and it takes me 3 and I don't have to go back, who's more efficient? Who's faster?
Right. And then we had another conversation about it yesterday morning at the meeting. And I'm like, he's like, they were, you know, someone was showing me how to do this and it took them 15 minutes to cut a door in. And it's like, well, if it's good in that 15 minutes, you know, if you do it in 5, they do it in 15, but then we don't have to go back and replace it 3 times, right?
Right.
It's just stuff like that. And I mean, they said that he was showing them and he still didn't get it right. So, I mean, you can still make mistakes, but the fact of the matter is it's not just doing the only thing that you know. There's multiple ways to do it, and it's, you know, taking what everyone teaches you and then figuring out, you know, your own way sometimes, right? Because I mean, I've been in not necessarily classes with you, but I've seen you on stage and showing stuff and learning, and then I take, you know, things from you, things from other people, put everything together and then find my own way, and then that'll be end up being how I teach it. And then someone will take something from me and then put everything together. And, you know, I think it's just the community aspect of it where you really never want to stop learning, and everyone can teach you something a little bit different. And that's why every single class that you go to is so great, because you can take one thing away and then it's beneficial just for that one thing.
Brother, iron sharpens iron. You know what I mean? And that's really what it is. And you had said something I wanted to touch base on touch back on this about the big guys showing support, the manufacturers showing support, and they used to, until the legal terms got everybody in trouble at some point. Then everybody kind of said, well, I don't want to do that now. I don't want to back that up. We're still failing. They're still failing to install. They need to be by themselves. And there is that separation in our industry, because The last person who touched the gallon of milk is the person who's supposed to put it away, right? They're responsible, and that's us, right? So if we're the last person to touch it, nobody wants to be involved. But you big boys out there, you big manufacturers out there, I think you've heard it on multiple podcasts, multiple variations, other people's podcasts as well about we need some industry backing, some industry required training, not specific to anybody, but it needs to be required to install some of the product. It creates less failure for you guys. Long term, make more money.
I just saw a question pop up, as far as which category needs the most training. And what I've seen that do in the last 30 years since I've been so, on the training side of this industry is I see it roller coaster. I see it, evolve. Mm-hmm. There for the longest time, it was, ceramic tiles. We can't find a good ceramic tile guy, and then it was, the resilient guy. We can't find a guy that knows how to weld, which that's still the case. I hear a lot. But one that, 20 years ago, you thought you would never hear is now I'm hearing I need a really good broadloom installer. It's like, you've lost a lot of good installers to LVP, to carpet tile, and to things that, but I think that, and I tell you guys, on the woven side of things, here you've got manufacturers that some of those people that are making those, well, they're not making them, they're getting them out of India or Turkey or, the hand looms, the hand wovens. Some of those entities don't even have a technical division. They don't have anybody to call to help tell you how to install those products. And I've had more calls. I've been teaching wovens for 20 plus years. I've had more calls for that category in the last 2 years than I have in the last 20. We've been doing quite a bit of that. And I think a lot of that, some of the retailers I talk to are saying that, well, that's a category that's not being affected like the other categories are. Meaning the day-to-day, the builder business, most of that is being affected. The people that are buying those types of products, Jorge can tell you, they've got the money to spend. They're not going to finance it. They don't, and so that's still a decent category that's doing well.
Well, what's happening in those categories is that the builders and the people who are hiring the people who are not qualified are having to go back in there and do repairs and such. And at the end of the day, they're not going to do it right. They're going to buy another slab of stuff. They're going to hire the same person who doesn't know how to do it. And the owners of the product are going to have to live with it till they have to buy it again years later. That's what's actually happening. Nobody's reporting it back anymore. The problem just keeps on persisting, and it's going to be hey, you know what? That's what you chose to go with. You're going to have to live with it now.
You're saying instead of, the owner calling an inspector in or something, they're just like, yeah, I'll just go ahead and fix it. So that way we just put another Band-Aid on it, basically, and we'll fix it ourselves. So that way nothing gets reported.
Yes. So nothing's getting back to the people, the retailers, the wholesalers that are selling it. It's being sold. Here you go. Get your installers to do it. And the installers are going back and just creating another mess. So at the end of the day, the person who's buying it, either if they have enough money to replace a $10,000 carpet, $15,000 job, go for it. If they don't, they're just going to live with it. And next time, 10, 15 years later, then they're going to hopefully get the right person.
Yeah. And I can go into a group of 100 installers, break out a flat weave, and I don't have a single one in the group that knows how to seam it up. So but we got off topic there a little bit.
No,
Daniel,
no, you're good,
that.
man. They'll say that they know how to seam it up, though, right? Because they just want to treat it like they treat everything else. And we've been on that side of things before, and we've had massive failures on some linoleum where it was like you go in and you treat it like a sheet vinyl, just like when I'm talking about the new non-PVC stuff. You go in and you treat it like a sheet vinyl, and then no, that's not the correct way. So it's just, learning a little bit and knowing what you're working with. And I think that's the biggest issue is people don't seek that information. They just figure I've already done it like this and I'm going to continue to do it like this. And it isn't until an issue pops up is when they do like Jorge says, it's like, all right, we'll just take care of it. So that way nothing gets reported. I don't want this manufacturer to know that I'm, using people that don't know what they're doing or something.
Right.
So,
We jumping us back a little bit to topic, as I looked over at the notes, we talked about tools, technology, all that stuff, and I said, where do you get it? But then it dawned on me, tools. Because I was just watching another video with Roberts on their new stretcher and their new foot and all this unique stuff they're developing. But you might tell your guys that get on this is that the shows. You go to CFI convention, all those tool guys are there. You can go to TICE, all those tool people are there. I think so many installers think that those shows are more for the salespeople or the retailer, and they need to understand, man. Installers can go to those shows and just see everything and eyes this
and
big.
not only that, it gives you an opportunity to get intimate with them, right? Hey, let me check out your new tools. Let me try it. And then, they're always looking for feedback. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is that they're like, let me know if we need to change something.
Dude, hey, you guys, distributors, manufacturers out there, when you guys are asking installers for feedback, make sure you tell the installer who's given the bad feedback that he's talking to the inventor of the tool. Jeez, man, thanks for the warning, guys.
Yeah. I think the toughest one, guys, would be, of all the things even technology, look at, I'm sure you guys have all heard of Floor Cloud. They just changed their name to Sea Limit.
Climate.
That type of technology, to be able to, have that type of technology at your cell phone, moisture, and all the things they're doing with that software now, it's amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And
if you don't know what it is, just Google Sea Limit or Floor Cloud, and there's a quick video you can watch. And but the technology is amazing. I remember they gave me about a 30-minute demo of the product and what all it would do, and at the end of it I'm like, oh my gosh, that was like, did I just watch an episode of the Jetsons? It was like, it just seemed so like, wow, that having that type of technology at your fingertips.
Yeah, and we use it all the time now. And before, we used to treat moisture testing like you need to get someone else, right? Because I don't want it to be a conflict of interest. And now it's like, I got nothing to hide. You're seeing the same results I'm seeing in real time. So there's no reason to lie about anything. Mm-hmm. Now, earlier you were mentioning the LVP class, the one-day LVP class that you do. Can you kind of talk about that? Because I'm almost looking at the new installation techniques and stuff like that. We kind of got to go to what they're pushing out for DIY stuff, right? And then the more that something's looked at as DIY, it's like we don't need training for that because it's just a no-brainer. Can you kind of touch on how things aren't like that when you're installing?
Well, I'll give you a perfect example, and this is kind of what I mentioned earlier. So one of the classes that AFT offers is a very extensive one-day LVP class, and it's a cram full class. You better be ready to go. But we start out with, it's based around the majority of failures with LVP. That's what we try to train mostly on is, most of what that product has the most failures and reason why. So, we start out with floor flatness, which is a big issue with floating floors, and floor flatness and how to check it. We go around the warehouse literally because, I'll sometimes ask them, so you think this floor is ready to go? And they're like, yeah, it looks pretty smooth. And suddenly we're throwing a straight edge on it. And we've got 3/8, inch variations within 6 feet.
Ooh.
So, floor flatness, we go through priming the floor, prepping the floor, obviously in the other order. But the first, we've gone through trammel points. We go through balancing the materials, all of that. One of the first floor we do is a glue direct floor. And we actually installed that one on a chevron because, again, talk about techniques. There's unique techniques that we've developed over the years on how to very quickly, take those angles, flip-flop the material back and forth, face back, put it on a chop saw and cut 6 boards at a time at the exact same angle I need to get it's just different techniques we use, and we show all that. We've gone through all that. We've gone through balancing. They do 2 floating floors. Again, all this is in one day. The first floating floor, I kind of let them go with it. They've already covered a lot of material. And it's 2 guys per module, 4/8 module. They go to town on this module, and they're just, they're full of themselves, man. They're just grabbing that stuff and knocking this 4x8 out. While they're doing that, I'm going over either, and manufacturers, don't make me do a QR code on the box to get my installation instructions. It's hard enough to get an installer to read an insert or a print on a box, and if he's got to break out his cell phone and pull it up on a QR code, forget about it. But I'm doing that while they're installing, so I'm pulling the insert out, and I call them the 4 numbers in my class. Okay, so I take the sheet, I find my 4 numbers. Those 4 numbers that I call them floor flatness, expansion, joint stagger, smallest plank. Okay, those are my 4 numbers. I then take the biggest fat black marker that I have in my box, the big fat one. The guys are done, and I take that marker and 4-inch, you were supposed to have 8-inch joint stagger. I circle it with that big back marker. They're butted to the wall there with less than an 1/8 inch of expansion. I'm running a big fat line, and the guys are just like, they got this look, and then they're walking around to follow me to every module. Guys, to this date, I've had hundreds of guys go through that class in the last 3 years. To this date, I've not had one module pass.
Wow.
And the reason I like to use that shock and awe factor is because then I have the conversation with them and say, guys, right now, retailers are getting absolute fed up. I've talked to retailers that won't even try to sell laminate. They're trying to sell LVP. They're trying to steer them to laminate because of all the issues we're having now with a product that was supposed to be just so great, right? And I tell them, I say, guys, the problem is here's a problem. The floor is going to fail for whatever reason. An independent, I won't talk about independence. That could be another subject altogether. Gets out there. He knows these numbers. He knows the product he's going to look at prior to getting there. He may not put the black marks all over the floor like I did, but they're going to deny the claim because you didn't follow the installation instructions, even though the reason for the failure probably had nothing whatsoever to do with whether it was joint stagger or expansion because another thing I do, guys, I do an inspection review process. I've got 1,200 and something members across the country that I get inspection reports, the photos. I was just looking at a big claim on an LVP project the other day. It's a rigid product that they glued down. They got a permission from the manufacturer to glue it down. It failed miserably. It was so rigid it wouldn't dip into the small dips in the floor. Now they're walking on it. It's sounding like potato chips. I mean, you guys all know where I'm going with this. And it's like, well, who's to blame? They asked me my opinion. I said, well, one, the manufacturer never should have told them to glue it down. It was okay to glue it down. But anyway, you got to stop me sometimes, guys, because I'll just
I think that's one of the issues too, right? Is it's always pointing the finger at someone else, and being on the installation side, it usually comes down to we're the last ones to be pointed at. It's always technically the last ones and the first ones, right? Because we went through everything and now it's still your fault. It's your fault. Then they inspect it, try and get it. Nope, it's still your fault. And it's like at some point they have to look at who's hiring the installers too, because if you're hiring these unqualified guys, you got to start taking some accountability too, because it's also, as a salesperson, it's your job too to kind of know what techniques and technologies are coming out in order to have a successful installation.
Yeah, the salesperson definitely has a responsibility, not only to their clients, but to the installer to set them up for success. You don't have to know everything, but at least know a little something, especially if you're dabbling in new materials when they're coming out, right? Like, do a little bit of research, see if it's outside of the norm, depending on how long you've been a salesperson and selling similar product. But everybody's responsible as a team to ask the questions and to find the answers. And a salesperson is part of the installation team regardless of what they view their full role as, but it's a team effort. You gotta succeed together, you gotta fail together, right? Like, if a salesperson finds a great installer who creates better success for them, they start getting the same clients and reoccurring clients and more clients, and go to this person. They're doing very well, and then that salesperson's like, "Thank you, installer. You're the one helping me do this. Like, what can I do to help you more?" And then the installer, like us, we would say, if I had this information readily available at the start of the project or when we're talking about it, it would help me out instead of having to scramble last minute to find everything out. I think that it's a team effort.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys, I mean, when you start talking techniques and so forth, I mean, bottom line, I wish this industry would put me out of business. By that, I mean, I wish that guys would seek the training and the education they needed to where I wouldn't have to do it anymore. But that's the problem. It's, you have guys that, well, I learned from so-and-so and so-and-so learned from so-and-so and so and from, and it just stair step down, and every stair step it took, there was a little less technical knowledge lost. And, when you start talking techniques, all of us that give a damn, okay, all of us that are good installers, Jorge, that I'm preaching to you for here, have developed our own techniques. Again, I said patterned carpet was kind of a specialty. So a lot of manufacturers around the world called me, sent me to huge projects all over the country, all over the world. Robert, we've got this bow, this skewed. It's got an attached, urethane foam on it. Can you go work with these guys and get it done? So there were certain techniques that we developed in the field to do that, to correct those issues. And of course, a lot of that's what we teach in the class right now. And I was blessed to do a lot of training with the legendary Jim Walker. Okay. And Jim Walker used to have a say, and he would flat tell you, he goes, look, we've learned a lot of stuff in our careers, and we're going to teach you this, teach you that. But trust me, if you show us something that we haven't seen and we like it, we will steal it. Okay. Because that's the bottom line is, I'm not some master whatever. I've just been in it a long time. I'm pretty creative. So we come up with some unique ways to do different things. We've learned other unique things from other guys. So we've got this all massive knowledge that more than anything, guys, I just want to be able to share as much. I want to empty my head as much as I can before I just spend the rest of my time hanging out in Belize. So,
oh, yeah.
But
that sounds horrible. That sounds like a horrible time.
I know.
Yeah, and the class I went to when I went to go visit you out in Fort Worth, I mean, that was intense.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of information. Just that one day, I think it was a 2-day class. And I mean, great facility, a lot of information. These individuals that are taking the training are getting top-notch quality instruction for sure.
Any good trainer, we don't do it for the money. There's no money in training, guys. Just straight up. But I'd say maybe at least once a month sometimes. I'll get an email and it'll have pictures of this pattern that was this and that's the other, and they're just going through what they had to do it and thanking me for showing them this and that, and look, it worked, I did it. It's like, to me, that's more than any money could ever pay me.
Right. Chad said, going back to what we were talking about, with the manufacturers and stuff, if he sees a material defect, it gets called out. If it's an installation error, it also gets called out. However, the manufacturer defects are exasperated by the installation errors. Then, saying if it's an installation error, it's going to call out those defects a lot more than if it was installed correctly.
All right.
Scott is.
Who do you want to address that?
Well,
I mean, it's just the truth. I don't think there's anything to address.
It is the truth.
Yeah.
Scott.
And I think that just talking about the LVP category as a whole, because I don't know if they truly realize what they're doing to themselves, because they're basically making a product, and this goes both ways. Whether it's the stability with a glue direct product, whether it's the fragility of a locking system. I get people that come to me and say, oh, I don't like the drop lock system, it don't work. Guys, I've tested them all. I've seen the test results from all of them. It comes down to, if you're installing it right, you're installing it properly, all of them perform great, so long as, again, the prep to this. But the manufacturers are, and again, I'm not a big fan right now of our, I forget how many 30 plus years ago when we decided, somebody that we needed an unbiased third party, and suddenly the independent inspector was born. It was supposed to be just that. It was supposed to be an unbiased third party that was going out to evaluate what was going on. In my opinion, and I know a lot of people you'll probably get heat on this. In my opinion, I feel that has evolved into that so many independent. And again, guys, I read a ton of reports every month I get sent to me, and it's crazy the stuff that I'm reading. But I feel that their job now is to go out and try to get their commissioning party off the hook. That's what they feel they're being sent out there to do, because the report I'm reading is obvious that they're just trying to get their commissioning party off the hook. Well, most of the time, who's the commissioning party?
Manufacturer.
The manufacturer. So
exactly.
I think that is, I think you're right to an extent. I mean, I believe that there are ethics involved in some of people's approach, but I also believe
I agree.
I also believe that the literature that individuals are handed as an inspector are pretty specific to the person who's hiring them, instead of it being a universal packet, if you will, of literature that uses all the right points. It's not just hitting on certain points that one side or the other needs to hit on in order to feel protected. I think that, at the end of the day, science doesn't lie. And unfortunately, when an installer skips a step or misses something, then you know what? Then it's more heavily on the installer's shoulders than it is the manufacturer, because what if you didn't miss that step? What if you didn't skip that? What if you did it the right way? And it's just historically, I think that it's just you don't know what you don't know, and that's what's causing the failures. And it's hard. It's hard.
And Jose, that's why I preach to everyone. And like I said, I'm not preaching to you to come to AFT for training. Again, I've mentioned there's so many great training entities out there. But when you take training, not only might you get more efficient, might you get better as far as the techniques you're going to learn, but one of the biggest things I think you do is you arm yourself to protect yourself against something like that. And I tell them too, I tell the installers, and I've usually got the retailers, and I said, you're not only protecting yourself, but you're protecting the retailer, by the way, that paid for me to come in and do this training with you. And it's just foolish for guys to not take the time to be able to do
I'll
that.
ask you if you think that inspectors are trying to get off on a technicality, like just because.
Both installers and inspectors, right? The inspectors don't understand under what circumstances the installer, even if they did everything right, under what circumstances they had to install under, and that's the inspectors, and then the installers might not know every step, right? They might be missing one detail on a concrete slab in Louisiana because they're used to working on concrete slabs in Michigan. There's different things to look for. Different regions call for a different set of skills and knowledge, and you don't get that without experience. Or if you just have a checklist and know exactly what to look for.
The installer has a right to obtain his own inspection. That is 100% true. Kind of says go blue. But going back to what Scott said too, it's hard to convince the installer the value of training. And then Doyle says, he's right, but it's just surrounding yourself with like-minded people, and then doing stuff like that ends up pushing you to. I'll just put for us as an example, right? I'm a gadget guy, so anytime there's a new tool, I'm trying to get a new tool and use it. Sometimes I love them, sometimes I don't. But I've been through trainings where they're using the same stuff that they've been using, since the 80s. And yeah, it does work, but my tools are going to work just as efficiently, if not more, because, going back to Flash Cove and heat weld, I'm not going to have carbonation on my heat weld, so I'm not going to have black spots in it everywhere like you might. And yeah, that might work good for you, but when you're trying to teach someone that doesn't know what they're doing, it's a lot more difficult than with the new technology that's out right now. So
no, I agree, guys. And again, there's a lot of unique. I mean, I remember just seeing the little round roller. I forget. I know you guys had posted a little bit. Yeah, I mean, seeing stuff like that, and I'm not even really a resilient kind of guy, but I'm looking at that thinking, you mean that just now came out? Like,
Isn't it weird, right? Like I know that
it
it,
is.
it
Sometimes I see tools and they come out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why did it take this long for somebody to make one of
And
those?
it's
That tool, you
someone.
could use it for a massage too on your legs.
Well,
It
he
works really
uses
good.
it. Jose uses it for
I might have to try that.
rolling out some baseball mitts.
so yeah. So I like to
Oh,
I like to
yeah.
relace gloves, right? Like that's my zen. Sometimes I need a break and do the palm adhesive in there, and we try to adhere the leather back to the padding in the inside, and that's what I use. I use that because it works really well. I put it on my hand. It works really well.
So Doyle says that we need to more training on how to qualify what a good product is, so that way we can sell quality product with quality installers for a win-win situation. And I think that's like, is it more, does it go in this space or should it not go in this space? Because a
Yeah.
quality product from the manufacturer should always be quality
Right.
when it comes out of their quality inspection. I mean, things do fall through the cracks, right? Everyone, you're not going to be 100% all the time.
I've seen high quality materials fail because of low quality installers. I've seen low quality materials find long term success with high quality installers. So I think that there's a balance there, right, of product knowledge, product placement, and then hand skills and techniques. I think it all meshes together. So he's right though, like, and that kind of falls on the sales team as well. Not being afraid to say, hey, you guys, why do you have this in this entry? We live in Michigan, right? Like, we're gonna have salt water. It's gonna fail. Why do you guys still think that LVT works in an entryway that is right from the sidewalk to the to the entry with no protection, no awning, no? I mean, I'll go on about the wrong product in the wrong spot for days, but people don't like to listen sometimes.
Jose, I would add one more category to that. I've seen high quality product fail because of low quality ingredients.
Oh, you know what? That's a good one too, because we have too. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen, like you taking we're on the subject of LVP, Glue Direct LVP. It seems like in the beginning, they had a lot of stability issues, a lot of shrinking, a lot of curling, a lot of various different things. Then it seemed to get better. And then of recent times, it seemed to have gotten worse. And then I turn around and I see, inspectors blaming it on, other items. And I'm like, no, find some product, send it in, get it lab tested. I guarantee you it's not stable. It's going to curl, it's going to shrink. And, people will come to me and I'll see a report and they'll say, oh, they didn't use the right adhesive. They didn't use enough of the adhesive. I can tell you, I tested it even back with the carpet tiles, I don't know if you guys remember all the curling doming carpet
I
tiles
do.
we dealt with.
I have.
I was fortunate to be. I won't mention the manufacturer, but I ended up with one of their decurling machines.
Yep.
You ever seen those where you have to take it runs around those binders and basically breaks down that interior backing to where it'll lay flat? I mean, so that wasn't a manufacturing issue. I just need to.
I had some people hate me
because
of a job like that.
But and again, knowing the tech guys that I know, and over the years, some phenomenal guys, and all of them will look at me and say, I remember one time there was a product that one of the manufacturers had out, and it had been out for maybe 4 or 5 years, and he comes to me and he said, Robert, we've changed that product at least 20 times since we released it. Meaning they've changed how they're making it, how they're cooking the ingredients in it, et cetera, et cetera. And none of that information ever gets around to us, and I think nor do they want it to. But what I think they don't understand is that we would love to, because we would love to work with them more on it. I know you've got your tech guys. I know there's some phenomenal tech guys in Dalton and some phenomenal people. But I think the more they would involve the installation community as a whole to work with them, in my opinion, I think you see manufacturers that want to develop a new product. They're looking at design. They're looking at marketing. They're looking at almost every aspect of how to sell and how much of that product they can sell, other than, can we install it?
Right. Marketing
And then
is
it gets down to the
the
installation
biggest
part.
thing, because
Yeah.
just waterproof. That's all you have to say is waterproof, and you already
Oh,
know, like,
I hate that term. That's like self-leveling under it.
yeah,
Like,
it's a marketing term, and then that's why things are changing. And I don't know what Doyle is talking about FHA carpet, but he says, where are the standards for producing LVP like we had in FHA carpet and sub FHA carpet? Maybe do you know what he's talking about, FHA?
no, but see, and that's going to come down to, there is a, Resilient Floor Covering Association. They're a phenomenal organization. Bill, I forget Bill's, he's the runs that organization. My good friend Paul, and marketer, he's involved with that association, and they're a great group. Believe me, they work closely with the manufacturing. They've got different tech teams and different things like that. But I think they need to probably jump into that category a little bit more. And again, my opinion, which don't mean anything, because I think if they don't, I think they're going to lose ground in that category. They've boasted for years, the last several years, that, hey, we're, Resilient is more than carpet now. Resilient's more than carpet, or they're neck to neck, depending on who you talk to, which one's selling more. Well, that's nice to boast about, to talk about. But I think if you don't, because I talk to those retailers all the time, I see the frustration they're having with that category. And so I think if maybe, whether it's Resilient Floor Covering Association, manufacturers, I don't know, but somebody needs to maybe address some of it, or else, like I said, I've talked to at least 2 dealers in the last year that are trying to steer them away from LVP and put them in laminate. I want to say, do you not remember the issues we have with laminate? Or
they're marketing it as the best thing, because everyone is
The new
having so
coating.
many issues, and like,
yeah,
I don't know.
But it's like, when I put Unite together, we try to unite training and education, and to just, again, get so much of the industry, and what you guys have been doing, by the way, with this, and I haven't said it yet, has been phenomenal. I try to watch what I can, or review here and there when I can, but because anything, I think, that is bringing more and more of the industry together instead of working in the silos that we've all worked in for so many years. That's one thing I really saw when I was running CFI. I had great relationships with all the other entities, whether it's NWFA or NTCA, and all the other acronyms in training and education. And that's one of the things I saw, that all of us only have so much bandwidth, meaning we only have so much, be it marketing, be it whatever. And obviously the goal is, if you narrow everything down from a training standpoint, what is our real goal? Getting butts in the seats to be trained. I mean, that's our hardest task. We can do a lot of different things, and we can do them really well, but the bottom line is, if we are a training entity, that's what we want to do the most, and getting butts in the seats. So that was the whole purpose of me founding Unite and paying to have it all put together and founded and nonprofit, was simply to bring those training entities together, to work together, to expand the bandwidth of all of them.
Right.
And it's done pretty well, I got to say, and get us involved in, Build My Future programs and high school programs and recruitment. I mean, anything and everything to try to, raise the bar on the installation side.
Right, because at some point we all got to realize that we're all in this together, and if we're fighting against each other, it's just gonna tear people apart. So just got to kind of lean in and partner up with whoever you can, because just look at, on our side, it's, if I have a question for anything, you always want someone in your phone that you're going to be able to call. I've called Jorge for questions on binding and stuff, and he wouldn't even bind the stuff for me. He said, no, you could probably find someone to do it cheaper there. It's messed
called
up.
him because I couldn't find the specs on a referral that we got all the way from Texas, right? And like, nobody wanted to give me the exact specs. It was all over the place, and he was spot on.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But one thing,
he does more than just sit up there and smile.
Al Gladden does want to know when AFT trainings are coming to Bow Hackers Training Center. That's Beaumont Flooring.
Yeah. Well, Scott and I talk about that, and we do. And I think Scott's listening as well. Scott and I talked about, us plugging a class up in there. And so, again, this knee thing kind of took me out for a month here, but the fall is going to be busy as well. The beginning of, next 26 is going to be crazy with all the new programs we've launched. But no, it is something Steve and I have both talked, or Scott and I have both talked, and we are going to be setting something up there, Al. So we'll see you out there, buddy.
So I know that we're getting pretty close to our time limit here, and and I just want to ask you a question for installers out there, and it's going to be I think it's going to be like a compound, two different answers, right? And they'll probably apply to both, but is there a word of advice or any advice that you would give a seasoned installer? It doesn't matter if they're 10 or 30 years in. A little word of advice to someone who's seasoned, and then the same question for a new installer coming into the industry.
Well, if for me answering that question,
Yep.
It's going to be the same answer to both of them. And that comes from, Jose, I'm out training a lot. And in my classes, I'll have that 30-year veteran. And I'll have this 2-year and 5-year and 10-year. And it would be the same answer to both. Seek training and education. And even if it's not from a training entity, seek it amongst yourself. Google, there's videos, there's things. I get a lot of calls. Guys have got, I got one the other day. He's got I shouldn't even say this, but he's got a Axminster double stick job coming up, and he's never installed double stick.
Oh.
Right away, I'm worried for the guy, and we're walking step by step. We're talking about cushions. We're talking about adhesives. But, there again, it's, guys are taking things on that, especially now that times get slow, they're taking things on that they really shouldn't be, or at least maybe seek some training and education to where you can maybe muscle your way through it. But same thing,
called, though.
whether they're 30 years, 2 years.
He called.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't do that.
Yeah, he did. No, and I do
call
give
when
him
they're
credit.
in trouble, not before they started.
I know. Believe me, I get more post calls than I do pre calls. So
no, for sure. I think we're about wrapped up here, guys. We've been on for an hour already, and it just goes so fast, man.
Yeah.
And it did.
And we talked about earlier about the resilient guys, the flash cove and the heat weld. We do have a training coming up with the NAFCT over at America's Floor Source, October 20th through the 24th. So make sure you guys, if you want to get some training, everyone talks about getting some training. Now's the time. You got to start signing up. I mean, even if you go to, you were talking about the Resilient Floor Covering Institute, right? They got free CEUs right on their website. There's plenty of ways that you can learn. It's just a matter of do you want to?
Yeah.
Do you want to learn?
You'll like Jason's place. That's a great place. And Sarah, who coordinates
Sarah's
all the
amazing.
training and education.
Yeah.
She is. She's awesome.
We've been there. Well, I've been there. Daniel's been there a couple times.
Oh, great. Good deal.
Jeremy says he can't wait for the heat weld and flash cove certification.
Hey, happy birthday, brother.
Oh, yeah, it is Jeremy's birthday. I texted him earlier. Doya says, let's jump the fence and ask the same questions to the retailer of everything that we've been talking about. I mean, the retailers do have to get more involved too, and I think a lot of I don't want to say a lot of them, but I've seen some salesmen going through trainings. The last time I did the flash cove and heat weld, there was like 4 or 5 salespeople in there that are just like, I just want to learn about it so I can. Why is it priced the way that it is the big thing. And I was talking to some of the salespeople, on some of the projects, and it's like, you guys really don't understand that if I come in here and this is flat laying base, I'm doing this in 2 days. If it's flash cove, that automatically puts it at another 5 days, and you're trying to price it like similar. So no, there's definitely a lot of options out there for everyone, and you just have to, look them up, start getting involved.
Absolutely.
Give AFT a call and go learn how to do a bunch of stuff with you guys got classes for everything, don't you?
Well, basically it's mostly, all carpet, LVP. We do some resilient, but talking with Scott and others, I think I'm going to kind of turn that over to you guys. So we just, and on the carpet side, it's the full gamut, from high end commercial, pattern correction, hand loomed, hand wovens, flat weaves, you name it.
Oh, the fun
And
stuff.
one thing unique I think about what we do is that like I've got a class right now. I've got a 2-day class coming up in Boise, Idaho. And we custom tailor the class. Every class we do, we don't just go by. I mean, we've got our laid out curriculums for all these different classes, but we have Zoom calls, conversations with the owners, the project managers. What are your weaknesses? What are you looking to gain? So we kind of custom tailor almost every single class we do. And a little bit unique too is, training again, there's not much money in training. But one thing we saw early on is that, our training is based on our cost. So if I'm flying, a trainer in, you got your trainer fees, your hotels, your blah, 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 blah. So we charge flat rates because it doesn't matter whether I'm, if it's a 1 day, it's a flat rate. It's a 2 day, it's a flat rate. Doesn't matter whether I've got 8 students or 12 students, my cost doesn't change. So all of our cost is based on the training itself and the time. The only one that changes it a little bit is if I've got materials that I have to bring in that's not being supplied by the host. That changes it a little bit, but most time it's a flat rate per training. But yeah, it's mostly all carpet LVP.
The trainings are out there, guys, and this is where you can actually learn about the new techniques and stuff, and the technologies that are coming out and the tools, because I travel with probably, I don't know, what do you say, Hoser, like $50,000 worth of heat welding stuff when I do these trainings. And it's all our tools.
It's nerve-wracking.
It is. I mean, like I took him on a plane one time, and it's like, please don't let anything happen to him.
Oh gosh, yes.
Well, just bad experiences.
The other thing is, again, the training partnerships we have, which they just dawned on me. I've got NWFA at the AFT training facility at Fort Worth today. They just started a 4-day sand and finish class over there. They're actually sanding and finishing the class they did a month and a half ago, where all my modules had these beautiful floors that they installed in them. And now they're doing a sand and finish class over there this week. And we, we've got 2 brick and mortar, the Wichita and the Fort Worth, and we encourage other entities, training entities, no matter who you are. Our goal is to have training and education going on in those things all the time. So whether it's a manufacturer training, a training entity training, those facilities are open to any of those training entities at no charge whatsoever.
And that's the thing too. We're always looking for trainers everywhere. So if you know your stuff, we're looking for you. Like no one has the time to go out and find everyone. You have to actually approach us and say, hey, I want to be a part of this because, I want to teach people everything that's in my brain too, and kind of get rid of that stigma that's been in our trades for the longest time, to where, I don't want to teach anyone because you're going to take my jobs. It's not,
you can work together. Like, you already know where I sit on all that.
But like I said, we're all in this together, and we definitely appreciate your time, Robert. If you guys need anything, I popped that QR code up that takes you to the website. So do you guys publish everything on the website, or where else should they go for the trainings?
Website's the best place to start. We try to keep it as up to date as we can. Amy does that.
That's hard too.
But yeah, I know.
Jeremy says he wants to teach people what not to do. That's about it too.
Yeah.
That's part of training, though.
That's it.
Well, like I said, appreciate it. And, we definitely appreciate your partnership and everything that you got going on. Thanks for, doing what you do. And we definitely look up to you for everything that you've done. And we look forward to, I know I need to get down to some of your guys' trainings at some point, and we got to find the time to do that. I know.
You're more than welcome.
I know John.
And believe me, guys, it's been an honor to be on here with you. It's been fun.
I know John.
Brush up on your Spanish, and you can come over to mine.
You speak Spanish, right? Everyone's told me that Jonathan's one of the best trainers, but I've never had the privilege of being in one of his classes, so I'm going to have to change that sometime.
Jonathan? Yeah,
There
he's
you go.
pretty good.
Yep.
You
All
were
right.
in one of his classes.
Was he at NFIC when we were there? Oh, maybe I was.
That's right.
Hey, I want to bring something old up before we leave. I know you're trying to let go. Remember when Roberto Steve Harvey baby sister?
And the winner is nope, not that one.
Yeah. Well, just FYI too, because it just came up here just about 3 days ago. I still have the T-shirt that has her picture on the front of it, and I had my soon-to-be wife asking me why I was going to sleep with a T-shirt with a woman on the front of it, and I had to go through and tell her the whole story.
Oh man, you know what? It was hilarious, and I'm glad that we could all laugh about it now.
Yeah, me too.
All right, gentlemen. Thanks, Robert. Thanks, Jorge. And
Pleasure,
thanks,
guys.
everyone, for joining. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, sharing our stuff, so that way, push us out there the best you can if you enjoyed it. If you didn't, still leave us a comment and share it to everyone else to ask them if they like it.
Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely.
All right. See you guys.